used though.
You lied. I
27 years.
You lied.
I dreamt of you. I craved you. I missed you. Hello. Hello.
Yo, 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 yo. What's up? Hey guys. We're on YouTube today. We are on YouTube today. How y'all feeling? How y'all feeling? Oh my gosh. We're doing some reaction content today on YouTube. And it's not working. God damn it. Hold on. Give me 1 second here. There you go. Y'all see it? Y'all see it now? Hopefully you do. Hopefully you see it. And make sure. Hey, Kay. YouTube reaction content W. Okay. I had to make sure it wasn't going to echo when I started playing the video because you gotta, for OBS, you can put stuff on monitor. And it's a lot. How y'all feeling? How y'all doing? Y'all doing all right? I'm going to get right into it because I'm going to explain what I'm going to be doing. I'm going to be doing reaction content to Jubilee's Would America Be Better Under Communism? Middle ground. It's capitalist versus communist. I know it has Eddie, Malumbo, and I don't know the other girl. I don't know her. I'm sorry. But the three capitalists I don't know. I have zero idea. But we'll be giving commentary to both the platform itself, like the format, and the arguments themselves, both for socialism, communism, and capitalism. All right, let's get into it.
I think one of the main
You cannot say.
Hannah, I don't want to argue.
You do want to argue. You wanted to make your point, so let me make it back.
Hannah,
Oh Lord.
And then you're going to try to say it's too spicy for me. No, I got you. Like, let me respond to you. It is not capitalism coming in and enshrining enslavement. And in fact, capitalism is what got rid of it and started pushing
Lord.
back against the centuries-old
Lord.
awful institutions. So to say it's capitalism, I think is honestly offensive.
We are approaching
cap.
the 150th episode of Middle Ground, and we need your help to continue making more episodes. Join our Middle Ground Patreon community and help us write the future of Middle Ground.
Middle ground does need to go though.
America would be a more powerful country under communism.
May they agree or step forward.
Sure, like the goal of socialism and communism is to get rid of the US, like to get rid of America, but I mean, for the purposes of this question, yeah. But this goes to show like Jubilee doesn't know what the fuck they're talking about or what they're doing when it comes to these discussions, especially around socialism and
I
capitalism.
think it would be a lot better for all the people who are working jobs that are not, I guess,
Or socialism
tech,
versus
basically.
capitalism.
So I make content, which means that I work a lot of hours and I don't get paid the same amount as a soft dev. So I think it would create more creativity in certain like creative industries, artists. If you make a bigger pie, everyone gets a bigger slice. That's better, yeah.
I think one of the main misconceptions about communism is that it's just making everybody equally poor. When
Oh
Marx-
Lord. Remember when Eddie was not so problematic? Remember when Eddie was like the man? Oh my God. Y'all remember that? Before the American Communist Party? Holy shit. It was worse than Hassan. It was worse than the what was it? The MAGA communism? It was worse. It's so much worse. All right.
Marx and Engels wrote repeatedly that the first step on everybody equal. I think one of the main misconceptions about communism is that it's just making everybody equally poor. When Marx and Engels wrote repeatedly that the first step under communism is increasing the productive forces. In the US, over 80% of our population is living paycheck to paycheck. If you provide people's basic needs, if you invest in economic growth and in jobs and in infrastructure rather than investing in endless war and massacring Muslim people. In Gaza, you're going to make this country a lot
This question
stronger. You're
is
gonna make the
like
people a lot more
incredibly easy
stable.
to answer.
I grew up in a white ring area.
Like,
I grew up in
especially
Denver,
even
Colorado,
when
was
it's
born in Dallas, Texas. I'm the first American in my family. Everybody's from the Congo. If my family was able to come here, of course it would have some capitalist connection. So I grew up very much with the idea that
I didn't know
everything I need
Malumbo
is
was
under
a
capitalism.
child of an immigrant.
Individualism, freedom, all these things are under capitalism. But I'm black in America, so those contradictions really just create that.
Not that
friction.
that's
I'm
an
like,
issue.
this
I don't
doesn't
care.
align with what I was told and what I'm actually seeing or actually feeling. So why did I come to communism? When I actually read it, when I went from Marx to Lenin to Mao to Deng to Fred Hampton, I started realizing like, oh, this is patriotism. This is the idea that I look at another American and think to myself, I want you to be fed. I want you to feel fulfilled in your life. I want you to feel like you actually have control within your society. Honestly, as somebody, again, who grew up in that.
This question is like super easy actually to answer as a socialist, even though the goal of socialism is to get rid of the United States and to get rid of countries as a whole, but definitely the United States because it's nothing but the imperial core. It's just easy to show that like when transitioning to communism, like going through the stages of socialism, it just is better for people. And if you want better things for people, then you will advocate to go towards socialism because that would be better for them.
That right-wing area, that flies over everybody's heads.
Disagreeers are walking quick on this one. Can I say something first on this one to be so bold? Here's my argument. How come every communistic country has to build a wall or a fence to keep people in? China ain't letting people out. My grandma, I remember going, my grandma.
That's so not true.
Yeah, but where did you come?
Like 25% of American scholars are Chinese. American scholars. They come here, they get a degree, and they go back to, hey, Butcher, how are you? We're doing some reaction content. They come here, they get their degrees, and then they go back to China. Like it's like 25% of American scholars are from China directly. Like, so China's letting people out is absolutely insane. And something that people don't know, China accepts 100% of its immigrants.
Where did you come? There's not a mass immigration into Venezuela, into China, into Russia. Where do people want
That's
to
cap. That's cap. That's cap. The tourism, the medical tourism in Venezuela, or sorry, in Vietnam alone and Cuba alone, like supersede that of any other country. Like people go there just for surgery. Americans go there just for surgery. Athena was live and I couldn't make a decision. Oh, go watch Athena if you want to. Tell Athena to come through when she's done. We're just doing some reaction content over here. But that's so cap. All right, I'm going to let it play for a little bit. I'm sorry. I'm talking too much.
want to go?
Thank you for the
Switzerland,
likes. I love you all so
America,
much.
Sweden, they're all talking about we need to build a wall because people are coming. China's not going, well, we better build a wall because all those Americans are coming across. Nobody's going there.
So you
That's
legally cannot
cap.
become Chinese. I went to international school growing up, and every single non-Asian or anyone else that's like American or Canadian that's gone to China has never wanted to come back to the U.S. That's something that's really interesting. So I think it's like if you've never been,
That's an adverse selection, a group of people who are
Let her
already.
finish your point, and then
like
we got you.
I guess like
Her selection is an adverse selection of a group of people, but his selection is not, apparently. His people, his selection of the countries is shit that he has no idea. He's saying no one's going to China, which is cap as fuck. There's no way to build like China. The land mass of China is just as big as the land mass of the U.S. It's like 2% bigger. It's literally like 2% bigger. Like if you added another Maryland to the United States, that's how big China is. Like it's not that much bigger than the United States, and it has more than double the amount of people. More than double the amount of people. I'm sorry. I said I was going to let it play.
like whoever has the open mind to go visit usually doesn't want to come back. And I do live streaming, so I know a lot of live streamers who like permanently move over to the like Asia, especially China, because not just it's cheaper, it's also just higher benefits. Most people get like free healthcare, so it's a lot easier for you to survive there. I think it's not because people don't want to go; it's also because you're taught propaganda since a young age. China's scary,
No,
China's
it's just
bad,
that
evil,
he
red
doesn't want to
dragon.
go.
So people don't
So
go and
he
don't
thinks
even go see
no
it.
one else
That's the
wants to go. ago.
I would definitely argue that a lot of China's success is due to the introduction of free markets, but if we want to run with this idea that China's a socialist country, which is just fundamentally untrue, I could also just point to the fact that they're super low on the HDI. Their GDP per capita is like $12,000. The US GDP per capita is $70,000. So like I would say in terms of like economic success, we're definitely doing way better.
That's cap.
In terms of how we see immigration into this country, of course, we're American. We're only going to see the American.
I think Malumbo's going to touch on this point, so I'm going to say something before he does it because I've talked to Malumbo like on live before. That point is cap. That point is bullshit. China has zero abject poverty. The United States has like, I don't even know, 1 out of 5 kids go hungry every day. It's like over 20% of poverty. When it comes to housing, 95% home ownership in China. Maybe it's 90% home ownership. It's like 90 to 95% home ownership in China. The US is like 20. Like when it comes to being economically well, like, and if economic zones, China is a market socialist economy, the same as as Yugoslavia. No one would ever say Yugoslavia was a capitalist country. No one would ever say that Yugoslavia wasn't a socialist experiment moving towards socialism and communism. Like, dude's just capping. He's just saying like, oh, well, the success is because of it. No, it's not. The success is because of collective policies. If economic zones made people, if economic zones brought people out of poverty and helped people out, the United States would have zero poverty. The United States has the most economic zones. Well, I guess Britain has the most economic zones per capita, but the United States in number has the most economic zones with more money flowing through its economic zones. When you talk about Wall Street, you're talking about Silicon Valley, Hollywood, all of these economic zones that we have in the United States. I'm not going to name all of them, but with more money flowing through them, if it actually helped people get out of poverty, there would be no one in poverty in the United States. And saying that the United States is doing better financially is just fucking cap. If the United States was doing so well financially, we wouldn't have such a high fucking deficit. But he doesn't want to address that. I'm going to let it play a little more.
China has immigration. People do try to cross the China's border all the time. We're all humans. Everybody's doing the same thing around the world. I would say what you're saying is a perspective issue. I would love to break it down even more and talk to you about the massive amounts of CIA missions that have gone through Latin America to destabilize those countries, but just at that point. To what you were saying, judging a country by how much the wealthiest people in their country profit in their company, we both know what GDP means.
Of course.
It's a bad faith way to really explain
What
your
about
country.
HDI? Human Development Index.
And how's
so
that
it's
being?
measured by things like health, income. It's the UN standard for like how well an economy is doing.
So from that point, perfect. Healthcare, we rank 37 in the United States. Cuba ranks 2.
Sure.
Oh, God.
Sure.
Hold on.
Wait.
Hold on.
Cuba
We gotta
ranks
take a
what?
step back.
Cuba ranks what? Wait, I want to.
This is what I mean. They're not going to go by their own standards. He brought this shit up and now he's upset that Malumbo is schooling him on this shit. This shit is so easy. Like capitalists, like pro-capitalists, and people who are like anti-leftist, whatever it may be, they have no fucking argument. They just know what they are told. And when they talk about, like when you tell them that, like I talked about Cuba's medical tourism, Vietnam's medical tourism, he's not going to accept the HDI anymore because those numbers are going to be skewed or something. He's going to say, oh, no, that just comes from the regime within, as if the United States numbers don't come from the regimes within. It's so fucking weird. And now he's like, no, wait. Let's
really want to engage.
They've been number 1 and number 2 and hover through those spots.
According to Cuba.
Cuba uses their doctors.
According to Cuba, there it is. There it fucking is. Like every fucking time. This shit is so fucking easy. It's actually insane. Would you react to the video Tashika's in? I will. The Ben Shapiro abortion debate? Yeah, absolutely. This is what I mean. According to Cuba, now the HDI means nothing. Now the HDI and the way that the HDI is brought up which is by asking the people within the country who are in control of these regimes. Now it means nothing. He was bringing it up before as a point against communism, and now it means the fuck nothing as soon as a socialist nation is doing better than the United States. It's so fucking crazy to me.
According to the Commonwealth Fund and the
Wait. Cuba is 83 on the HTI. They use their doctors like slaves because 90% of the profit goes to the state.
They literally traffic their doctors. When George
doctors
W.
get very
Bush
little.
opened up a program to let Cuban doctors escape because they were trafficking them and making them go do these PR campaigns in other countries to give health care, 7,000
Trafficking
people
their
immediately
doctors
came
is
to the US.
crazy work.
At one meeting, 2 doctors passed notes to other doctors they were on a hospital set with and said, kidnapped. This is propaganda.
So I appreciate the emotional examples 100%.
It's not emotional. You can
It's
talk to
100% an
the
emotional
no border
example.
sovereignty.
They constantly do this shit. Like, they constantly do this shit when it comes to healthcare index, when it comes to anything. When you show them that they are incorrect, all of a sudden, here come the emotional examples. Here come the single examples. The things that they brought up before don't matter anymore because it's quote unquote according to Cuba. You don't go by any actual standards. They just want socialism to be bad. And like, this is just going to be the thing the entire time. I can see with her just going, like, with her and with him, where he's just like, well, actually this, that, and the other. And then they'll be like, okay, well, if we're talking about this, then this, if we're talking about that, then that. And he's just going to be like, wait, no, because it doesn't match with what I was told. Crazy work.
Organization that works to get healthcare professionals out of there.
You look like the nicest person in this room. I would
Well,
hope you let
I'm
me
trying to
finish
get
my
this point
point,
across
then
too.
I'll answer. I
But
got
please
you.
go.
Well, I've been told that fear is happening in Cuba. They're doing this super scary thing with Cuba, which is great. I would love facts. So
I'm giving you facts
No,
about
you're
doctors
not.
fleeing the country, and also about how they're
Doctors are not fleeing the country. Cuba has the #1 export of doctors because they're doctors. They have the most amount of doctors. Trafficking is fucking insane. Like, this bitch doesn't know what the fuck she's talking about. She just says shit just to say shit. Like, if Cuba is trafficking their doctors, like, saying that Cuba is trafficking their doctors is pretty much the same thing as saying like the mafia is trafficking their people. Like, to go to store, like when you go to, like when the mafia goes to a store, you watch a mafia movie, it's like, hey, pay us our money for our protection or whatever. You're trafficking those hitmen. You're trafficking those goons, those thugs. Like, they're part of the network. They're part of the program. And you having like these quote unquote scary stories of like this one doctor passing a note to another doctor saying that he was kidnapped is fucking insane. Like,
on the ration basic antibiotics in their hospitals.
Yeah, we've got them under an embargo. Obviously.
Medical things are excluded since 1992.
That's not true. That's been disproven by multiple studies. This year during COVID, Cuba made their own COVID vaccine because the U.S. pharmaceutical company used intellectual property
and they made it
laws to
faster
prevent
than
them
the
from
U.S.
making this, using our vaccine recipe. So they created their own, but they couldn't get syringes into the country because of the embargo. Because how are you supposed to get metal when you're on a tiny island country and you're surrounded by the U.S. military?
Eddie,
and you can't get any trade in or out.
Something tells you that she made that up. I don't know. People, I mean, someone made it up. Someone made it up. People make shit up all the time. Hey, Rick. Excuse me. Hey, Ricky, how are you? People make shit up all the time. Like, it's crazy as fuck. Like, people just say shit and make shit up and people repeat it regardless of whether or not they know that it's true. Like, an example, like we're talking about like this and people making shit up. Like, Donald Trump went on a stage and said that Haitian immigrants were eating dogs and cats. Fucking insane. And people believed it. Like, people still believe it to this day. Like, they actually believe that that was something that was happening. Like, these things are, it's absolutely incredible. And then you see how when like Malumbo makes a point, or when Eddie makes a point, or whoever, like, they can't get their point to finish before one of the pro-capitalists jumps in and says, wait, no, you can't finish your point because it's too cogent. It's crazy work.
Ask you a few questions, Eddie. How far back do you think the embargo is affecting Cuba?
How long back do I think the embargo? Probably since it's been put on.
Oh, really?
But I think when we look at...
No, let me respond.
Since it's been put on, yeah.
In 1960, the USSR became the largest trading partner with Cuba. They started paying more for Cuba's
sugar. Yeah.
They started buying all of
It's
Cuba's
$8 million
sugars
a
and
day
paying
in
more
government
than the United States was paying.
subsidies.
Fidel Castro is on record saying that the embargo had no effect on Cuba at all. So we can presume that up until 1991, when the USSR
the embargo, it would have no effect on them because they had a trading partner with the USSR. The USSR did not follow the trade embargo. What the fuck are you talking about? The USSR is no longer there. He asked you a question of how are they supposed to get needles on a little island if they are under embargo? And if the USSR had needles and syringes because they had steel, then obviously they would get needles and syringes. This isn't even a hard fucking thing to debunk. Like, you're just saying shit because you don't want them to finish a cogent point.
USSR collapsed, that it didn't have an effect. So to claim that the embargo is affecting Cuba.
And I think when we look at this is the, can I make a point? Because this is a point I wanted to make for a long time. When we look at countries like Cuba and China, I think it's more important to judge them based on what they had before the revolution. Before Cuba had a revolution, nobody had access to healthcare. They were working on slave plantations that were dominated by Western multinational corporations. China before the revolution, yes, there were famines during the era of Mao. There were far more famines before Mao came to power and before China was able to industrialize and get to the point today
Mao navigated
where they're
them
now
out
one of the
of a
most powerful
famine
countries
during
on earth. In the
revolution.
1950s, the U.S. was already industrialized. China had to do that. They were a semi-feudal country in extreme poverty. And in just 70-plus years,
wouldn't say
they've become
semi, but
this
okay.
economic superpower. That is through central economic planning and, yes, allowing some of those private markets in.
That's by undercutting the U.S. on labor because they don't actually have to pay people very much. They don't have to pay them based on their value, so they can make people come over there.
They pay them based upon their value. Their cost of living is lower. We talked about this. This was one of the first points. It is cheaper to live in China. Like this has already been addressed. This has already been addressed. People move to China because that was your dead name. Oh shit. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. I didn't even recognize your picture in the chat. I'm sorry, Sage. I apologize. But this has already been addressed. She's just bringing this up again for no reason.
And work far cheaper, have their companies there, and then we buy their products cheaper. We are propping
Work
up China's
far
economy, and we've been
cheaper.
really
They don't
stupid
have
with
to
our
get
own
paid
policies
as
when it comes
much.
to that. And also, we are constantly
If the cost of living in the United States was $4.12, no one would be advocating to raise the minimum wage from $7.25 because the cost of living is lower. What the fuck is she talking about?
Stringing ourselves because our government keeps regulating our economy more, getting more involved, tying its hands so that they are.
It's okay, girl. It's YouTube's fault. Thank you so much. I love you.
Instead of actually like letting people keep their taxes and invest in more things. So they are playing us right now. The U.S. has been really foolish, but it's not because communism works. They were starving up until 1979.
Well, let's look at exactly what they did. Let's look at
them.
exactly what they did when they opened up trade. They opened up special economic zones where multinational corporations could come in. But they said you're only...
Which is the only way multinational corporations would go in, by the way. When it comes to China, no one would have traded with China because they got rid of Japanese imperialism, who was in cahoots with the Western imperialist forces. America, Britain, France, Germany had set up spheres of influence in China, and China's revolution overthrew, and it was overseen by Japan. Those spheres of influences were overseen by Japan, imperializing China, and obviously Japan got a piece of the pie too. So like China was just one big imperialized country. They did a revolution, got rid of all that, and no one would trade with them because they did it. And so they opened up economic zones that looked like capitalism. And so everyone started trading with them because the goods were cheap. And in capitalism, cheaper goods means that if you can buy goods for cheaper, like products and whatever else for cheaper, and sell them for higher, then you're making a good profit. That's why everything in the United States in the 1990s was made in China. Because companies realized that if you get things from China, it's cheaper. And then you can sell them to people in the United States for a profit. And that's the only way westernized worlds would do trade with them after they overthrew of fucking the imperial forces. Bruh, she's only speaking and talking points and not actual fleshed out facts. No, literally this. That's all she has. That's all any of them have. And that's why Ty has been quiet this whole time. Once he was disproven about and I think that's what she's afraid of. That's what her and the other dude are afraid of. They're afraid of being Thai, and so they have to keep adding to their point and saying no, actually, no, actually, no, actually, instead of like letting their point ride. Because like as a socialist, if I say a point about something, like any point that I say, even if it's about a socialist experiment, USSR, China, whatever it may be, right? I don't have to sit there and cut people off unless they are not addressing what I said. If they're like talking about some other shit, I'll be like, no. Stop. Address what I said. Like, I said XYZ, address what I said. I don't want to talk about some other shit, right?
Allowed to do things as long as it's
I'm allowed
in
to play.
line with the party and as long as it's in line with the government's central plans. I mean, to say that China is just capitalist, full stop, or that all their
I'm not saying
successes
that
come
they are
from
capitalist.
capitalism
I'm saying that they
is
were
pretty
starving
ridiculous.
before capitalism started
They
getting
were
the foot in
starving
the
under
door.
feudalism.
And now he's saying, I don't think no one's saying all. Like, you said that they are not a socialist country. Like, get the fuck out of my
Hannah
face.
and Cam coming here with the guns. They got the fire. They know they're ready for this. Who is we?
Yeah, it's
When you
almost
say
like they
we,
hate
who
their
is the
ideology
we?
being
'Cause we
pressed
did this, 'cause we
or
did that.
even being
Who's
questioned
this-
literally
who's this
this.
metaphorical we?
Because the U.S. government is not a capitalist government, and we have to be strict about terms.
That's
here.
fucking
Capitalism
hilarious.
is a system and an economy. The government can either
That is fucking hilarious. That is so fucking wrong. Like, she has no idea what the fuck she's talking about. Capitalism, being a mode of production, needs the state to uphold it. If capitalism doesn't, like, if the US government isn't capitalist, then who's upholding capital? Who's upholding the American dollar? Who's enforcing the poverty in the United States and keeping American citizens from just stealing whatever it is that they need? It's the fucking state. There's no private entities doing that. Are you fucking kidding me?
uphold capitalism or they can impede it. Our government is constantly impeding it. So when the government comes in and tells
That's
you
cap.
you can trade with this person, you can't trade with that person, that is the government, which is weak. So we have a representative government doing that. Is that something I as a
Wait, so what you're saying is that the government controls capitalism, but it also has it isn't capitalist. But we are the government, and when the government impedes on capitalism, it's a bad thing, but we are the government. But we're not impeding on capitalism. What the fuck is she talking about? Hold on. Let me see if I can figure out what exactly it is that she's talking about. I'm going to let her say her entire point.
U.S. government is not a capitalist government, and we have to be strict about terms here. Capitalism is a system and an economy. The government can either uphold capitalism or they can impede it. Our government is constantly impeding it. So when the government comes in and tells you, you can trade with this person, you can't trade with that person, that is the government, which is weak. So we have a representative government doing that. Is that something I as a capitalist want to see them doing?
An American citizen.
No,
We
I
are
don't.
American
But we
citizens.
are
That
American
doesn't make any fucking sense. Like, it doesn't make any sense when she says the whole thing. Like, the government, she said the United States government is not a capitalist government. Governments aren't capitalists. They can only uphold or impede capitalism. And the U.S. government impedes capitalism. And the people are the U.S. government. So the people in the U.S. are impeding capitalism? What the fuck are you talking about? You have no idea what the fuck you're talking about. Capitalism is a mode of production in which the means of production are held by the richest people. They're owned by the richest people. You would say it's privatized, right? The privatized means of production. The reason for producing things in capitalism is profit. She has no idea what the fuck she's talking about. She's just saying government bad, capitalism good. Let us trade with who we want to trade with. Let me rip off who I want to rip off. And any other example that is good of socialism, I want to disregard it because me no like. It's crazy fucking work.
American citizens, and so they are supposed to be representing our interest. If we're going to talk about
At least we
what we're
can
doing
give
as a
an
country,
answer.
yes, like that
Oh,
is
hold
a
on.
huge part of it. And I also
You said, oh no. Yeah, that's what you said. At least we can give an answer not only to that we have variance, that part. Your point should stand on its own and not needing any help getting propped up by an emotional connection or emotional connotation. Absolutely. She's literally all over the place. I've no like this is the problem with capitalists, like pro-capitalists. Like when you're arguing against pro-capitalists, this is something that they will do. They will start to make a point. And Ian Danskin has this thing where he talks about two arguments. And he says, I think it's on this video called The Card Says Moops. It's Innuendo Studios here on YouTube. And he says he'll take two people, two right-wingers, and let's call them Engelbert and Charlemagne. And Engelbert is the one who says that we should dump more funding into military and police. And Charlemagne is the one who says that taxes are theft and no one should have to pay taxes because taxes are how we fund the military and police. And he was like, if you let them go on long enough, At one point in time, Engelbert makes a Charlemagne argument. And so like Engelbert essentially contradicts himself. And that's what she's doing. She's just doing it way faster than we ever thought possible.
I want to go back to communism, because when you talk about some of these countries that people often call democratic socialist countries, they rank higher on the economic freedom index than we do. That means they are more capitalist in their economy.
And I don't think those countries are socialist.
They're not
so I
socialist.
just want to make sure we're defining terms, because communism is the centralized control and ownership
Wrong.
of production of companies. But this is my point.
Wrong.
We have to talk about actual systems that are communist if we're going to debate this.
Define socialism to me, it feels as very demeaning.
Wait, are we doing communism?
How do you define it then?
She doesn't know shit, and she's just talking. She's like, communism is when the government does stuff. Crazy word.
I'm hearing things called socialism that aren't.
But the prompt is communism.
I guess like in terms of communism.
But the prompt is communism. Fuck off. Shut the fuck up, bro.
And capitalism, both are ideal states that don't fully work by themselves. But I do think capitalism is more
She said
pessimistic,
communism?
ideal states that don't. I guess like in terms of communism and capitalism, both are ideal states that don't fully work by themselves. But I do think capitalism is more pessimistic versus communism more optimistic. And
there's no such thing as working by yourself or working with another system. When people say we're in a mixed economy, they just don't know what the fuck they're talking about. Either that or they're just being colloquial. There's no such thing as a mixed economy. Either the means of production are privatized or they're publicized. There is no state in which the means of production can both be private and not private. That is literally a contradiction in logic.
State. If everyone actually worked hard and they wanted to,
it's literally decentralized power, Sage.
Everybody cares. I think you guys are well intentioned. Well, you could teach them though.
Giving people government aid makes them lazy.
This is what I mean by I was going to comment on the format, and I'm going to let this one play for a while before I say anything. The format is trash. The format is ass. I know they cut it, don't get me wrong, but this format where you're sitting in a semicircle and you're just talking back and forth and no one pulls out a phone. I am so fucking fast to pull out a phone on a motherfucker and like look up some shit in the middle of our debate. Giving government benefits, giving government aid to people makes them lazy.
Giving government aid makes you lazy. A great example of that is Elon Musk. The amount of government aid the X Foundation gets in order to pursue inventions that don't work. How often did you hear about that tunnel? Elon Musk is just one example of many different
this is so
CEOs,
funny.
multi-corporations who get government aid to be able to do these things just because
this is so funny, actually.
The net worth.
This is such a based response.
I hate corporate welfare. I think it's the biggest perversion of capitalism out there. It does.
First of all, corporate welfare is privatized welfare. Or sorry, it's welfare, like giving corporations welfare is I forgot the fucking term. It'll come to me.
It doesn't work. Its track record is terrible. And it actually is the government coming in and picking winners and losers. And it very rarely goes in favor of
No, that's cap. The government doesn't pick the winners and losers. The winners are already there because they already have the capital and the government is just propping them up.
Businesses, which is what most business in the U.S. actually is owned by. But the way it makes people lazy is not necessarily because they're bad people. It's because you have fiscal cliffs. You get this amount of welfare if you make under $24,000 a year. You make $25,000 a year, your benefits drop off. So it actually disincentivizes people from moving up, working harder, taking on more jobs. And it's a terrible structure.
It's literally a critique of capitalism.
From a perspective of, it creates animosity. If there was a system saying that you couldn't use a certain government aid program that you're already paying taxes to just because you make this amount, wouldn't you have animosity for those people below you?
The cliffs are, I think, more so specifically.
I mean, if you have animosity for people on welfare,
people are taking in welfare.
I get what Malumba's doing, but
their, like, lack of
they're
income,
not going to understand it.
And then they get a promotion or something, and they.
Warn. What does it say? It says I got a warning for something. YouTube, this is your video, bro. Why can't I read the warning? Hold on. Let me see something. Nope. If I make it bigger, it doesn't make me read the warning. When you turn content ID matching, YouTube automatically generates claims against other users' uploaded content. Oh. That match your reference files? I don't even know what the fuck that means. In some situations, you may want to prevent content ID claiming videos that certain YouTube channels upload. Okay. I don't give a fuck, Jubilee. It says your stream has been temporarily blocked, but it doesn't tell me what's going on. Each partner must add a channel to allow it to prevent claim. I don't know what this means. It's got highlighted sections, but it's like if more than one partner owns an asset, what's an asset on YouTube? Each partner must add a channel to their allow list. Why is that all one word? To prevent claims against this asset. What the fuck are you talking about? Whatever. YouTube's a fuck. Fuck you, YouTube. That part. I know, right? What the fuck? I'm just gonna keep watching and doing what I do. Fuck YouTube. This is why, like, YouTube shit, I haven't gone live on YouTube in forever. YouTube just does stupid shit. Like, YouTube used to be the spot, and now YouTube's just a fuck.
They lose the welfare and they're worse off than they were before they lost the welfare and prior to the promotion.
Because Jubilee might not like it. Fuck Jubilee.
De-incentivizes people to like work up the corporate ladder in their companies because they're receiving aid from the government.
I think also we have to say what makes people work hard, not just what makes people lazy. Because I think that's the problem. You look at government welfare is it is essentially keeping
none of them have
trapped.
ever looked at any studies or anything on
welfare deal
or government benefits.
We had a larger rate of people coming out of poverty and moving up in this country.
Wait,
and then
it says President Lyndon B. Johnson signed an EOA, Economic Opportunity Act of federal legislation, establishing a variety of social programs aimed at facilitating education, health, employment. The things are blocking it.
That is stagnated
and the general welfare.
That hasn't worked.
Just help me out here real quick. So when you say
ever since, and we can see that hasn't happened in this country, and then
and a general welfare for impoverished Americans.
And we can see that hasn't worked.
Just help me out here real quick. So when you say
oh no, what's that? Oh no for?
What didn't work?
We have not seen a decrease in the rate of people who are in poverty. And part of this is based on the education system. Part of this is based on different...
Because of LBJ.
Yes, these programs that came in, the welfare. I don't know this because of it. I think it's stagnated work that was being done. For me, as somebody who works in public policy, that's what I'm interested in. What works?
You've never looked at a study.
There are cases where I think people are incentivized to work
like
less
welfare
hard in order to keep their
aid.
income under a certain level so they can collect a certain amount of government money, which in that specific case, then yes, I guess it does incentivize laziness. But also, if you look at government programs like Medicare and Medicaid, they're some of the most highly approved of programs in the country. And when you make a welfare program universal, when you make it so it applies to everybody, it basically becomes politically invincible because nobody is going to argue for their grandma's health care to be taken away. And we have a problem in this country where 45,000 people are dying every single year because they don't have access to basic health insurance. And I think if we were to nip that in the bud and